Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Move with the Military podcast. And I'm really excited about our topic today. We're here with Amy Clagett. You guys are familiar with her if you've been following us. She is a veteran herself. She also is a realtor in Oregon and Idaho with Lost Soul Connection. Welcome, Amy. How are you?
Good.
Very good. Amy is a veteran service officer as well. And I know it's very near and dear to your heart talking to veterans and military members about the different benefits that they have available to them. And I think one of the things that goes uneducated a lot is the actual state level benefits that are available for veteran and military members. There's a lot of talk about the federal benefits that they get, but it's really a unique aspect that every state has their own state level benefits that we need everyone to be aware of, and we want to share with our veteran and military members. And it's different by state, where the federal is the same across the board. So we're going to talk about Virginia today. There's a lot going on in Virginia always. And Amy, why don't you tell us why we're starting with Virginia, other than the obvious, but why do you think we should start?
Virginia is just one of those states that a lot of people end up getting stationed in. Not everybody, but a large majority of military members. And it may just be for school. There's a lot of schools there. Or, they may be going to DC for something. Usually, in some way, a large majority of us, our careers end up being touched by this state. Mm-hmm. And then for a lot of military members that end up being stationed there, oftentimes, and like me, myself, when I got orders there, I ended up staying there. Why? Because there are jobs once you get out with all the military, the contractors, so on and so forth. So it's very easy to get out there and stay there. My kids were, oftentimes, a lot of times our kids are still in school. So we're staying in the area, and it's easy to get a job, especially if you didn't have a plan, you don't know what you want to do.
Sure, that makes sense.
It's a lot easier to transition out of the military there just because of the abundance of jobs. Everybody's experience is different.
Well, and I think also the number of military bases, just the familiarity of the civilians with the military, I can see where that would be a lot easier for someone that is transitioning out of service to be able to feel more comfortable and find employment there where they're more acclimated of working with the military. So sure, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So where can military and veterans go to find out about these state level benefits?
There's a lot of different places. Each state has their own website, but if you want to find everything, my favorite to go to is military.com, and they actually have each state with a link in there, and each state with their benefits. And military.com does a pretty good job of keeping stuff updated, because state benefits can change. They can add new and interesting things. A lot of state benefits are tied to your federal disability benefits. So percentages, so on and so forth. The state will align it with, well, if you have this VA disability percentage, then you get this benefit or you get that benefit. Right. Some are not tied to that, but a lot of them are.
Okay. What are some of the common benefits, state level in Virginia?
So first, for military retirees specifically, retirees receive a $40,000 exemption for their tax year, and that's adjusted usually each year for inflation. active duty, so before you become a vet, you get up to $15,000 of your basic pay. It can be exempted. There's some nuances with that, so you want to talk to a tax professional, of course, if you're living there. Um, a big one for the veteran community, and most often it's the state benefit that all vets know about. It's the property tax exemptions, and that's for every state. Every state's a little different, and the requirements for getting that property tax exemption differ by state. But with Virginia, it's a 100, if you are 100% disabled according to the VA, and you are what's considered permanent and total, which means the VA feels the likelihood of you improving is not going to happen. So they have given you a permanent total, because you can be 100% and not be permanent and total. So it's the two together that make for the property tax exemption. You are exempt from paying property taxes on the home you live in. Now, if you own several homes, it's only the one you live in that you get the exemption for.
But it's 100% exemption on the property taxes. They don't have to pay any property taxes if you're 100% disabled and permanent in total.
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that either. Okay.
Now, if you are 100% permanent and total and you're purchasing your property, your lender is going to still calculate property taxes into your escrow and everything like that. And then after the closing of that home, then you go to your county office and you file for the exemption. And that's true in every state. Most veterans, for whatever reason, don't understand that your property taxes will still be calculated in. And then once you close on the home, you go and file your paperwork with the county or the city office, and then they'll give you an exemption. And you oftentimes will get money back, especially if that was put aside in escrow, initially.
Right. But that exemption has to be issued by the county. So it has to be assumed that that they're liable for it until the county issues the exemption.
Right.
Now, do they have to refile for that exemption every year, or is it set and done? Do you know?
As long as, yes. So in Virginia, you do not have to refile every year because you will provide paperwork that you are 100% permanent and total.
Oh, sure.
According to the Department of Veteran Affairs. Your letters and things like that to get that information are on your va.gov. If you're a vet, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Everything is on va.gov.
So that paperwork for them to file the exemption is on va.gov. They don't have to go to their local county to get that paperwork. Okay, there we go. And that it's the same for every state, the paperwork.
As far as where you get the paperwork, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if they're not permanent and totally disabled? Is there,
no property tax exemption?
Period. There's not a reduction.
Period.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. All right. What other state level benefits do we have going on there in Virginia?
Yeah. So active duty service members, National Guard members, and veterans receive an in-state tuition. There are also some tuition grants that are available for Guard members specifically. One really neat thing that Virginia actually has that many don't know about is they have their in-state tuition for dependents of active duty service members, even if the active duty service member transfers or retires out of state. So if their kids start school there, they get in school, in-state tuition levels. Virginia also has a military survivors and dependents education program. It's for surviving spouses and children of service members, MIA, POW, things like that. Or if the veteran is 90% disabled, according to the VA, recipients can get up to 8 semesters tuition-free education and a waiver of required fees at state institutions.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, the 90% is kind of, it's, so it doesn't just limit, to vets that are 100%. They're saying if you're 90%,
sure,
we'll take care of your dependents if they want to go to college in this state. So that's really actually, it's a good benefit. Not Absolutely. A lot of states have it.
Okay.
Or not a lot of states have anything like it, actually.
I would imagine that certain states that have a larger demographic of veterans in active duty probably have a higher level of state benefits. But I don't know. I mean, this is your realm. So,
not always.
No,
not always. Not always. I find that each state is just really unique. People don't have a lot of love for California for a lot of reasons, but actually California does a really good job of taking care of their vets.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go over there. And their tuition game in California for veterans and dependents and things like that is even better than Virginia, in my opinion. So we'll go over California another day. Yeah.
We'll get dive into that. All right. What's next that you want to talk about?
So Virginia also has a program for military spouse employment, helping them get jobs, qualify for jobs. The state, so most vets know that there's for federal jobs, there's a preference. For veterans, you can get either a 5-point or a 10-point preference if you're applying for federal jobs. Well, on the state level, they mimic the federal level in Virginia. So veterans receive 5% additional to their test score for whatever state level job they may be applying for. For instance, I know a veteran that went into the state police. Mm-hmm. All of his time in the military was credited towards his state level retirement with the state police.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Disabled vets can receive a 10-point additional preference or 10% additional preference when applying for state level jobs. And again, va.gov for your letters to prove that you are a disabled veteran or you're a vet, your DD-214 for your veteran status.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and the time spent in service does mean something, right? And that, applying that to those positions, that's phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Virginia has veteran homes. So retirement age, a lot of the homes now have memory care beds for dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. You have to be an in-state resident to apply and qualify for the veteran homes. But Virginia has 3 veteran homes. They're in Richmond, Roanoke, and Virginia Beach. You have to be honorably discharged and again, a resident.
So is that the only requirement that, like,
Yes.
for
Honorably
entry?
discharged. Yep. Honorably discharged and a resident to be able to apply for their assisted living,
Okay, so it's an assisted living
senior care.
facility. It's not
Yeah.
for like a homeless vet or anything like that. So they
No.
have assisted living programs that are specifically geared towards veterans
Yes.
and in state. And then do they have, as far as the cost perspective, did you talk about that? Is there a discount or?
Um, yes, there's generally a cost to them. However, you see a lot of service connected vets and the VA helping with your disability pay to offset costs. And there's generally in state programs that also help offset the cost. Like
Okay,
Social Security is one that can help offset the cost.
sure. Okay, excellent. And really, not just our military members and our veterans, I mean, their family members knowing this information is important as well.
Yes.
A lot of times, as our parents are aging and the children are starting to take over the care for that and trying to weed through different benefits, knowing that your veteran parent has that there's certain state level benefits that are available to them is important as well.
Yes.
There's a lot to manage there, but even more benefits available to get them the care that they need and that they deserve. Yeah.
Another really actually great benefit that they have, and not every state has it, but the Virginia office of the Attorney General provides legal clinics to veterans and their spouses to draft, simple wills, powers of attorney, advanced medical directives, and they also have notary services.
And that's the Attorney General's office?
Yes. And a lot of times, if you go to the VA hospital in Richmond or the VA hospital in Hampton, any VA hospital, usually they have flyers like right as you walk in for those legal clinics.
Mm-hmm.
Before I moved out of Virginia, they started posting those things on Virginia's Department of Veteran Affairs, the state level. Things like, hey, we've got legal clinics going on. And they'll be all over the state. So Roanoke for Northern Virginia, Richmond for the middle, and then generally like Virginia Beach or Norfolk or even Hampton.
Okay. That's wonderful. I love to hear that. What other benefits do you want to share with us about?
So the fun ones, the recreation benefits. Yeah. Resident, if you're service connected, 100% disabled, you get a free lifetime license to hunt and freshwater fish.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
And then there are reduced fees for those veterans that are with a 70% disability rating as well. Active duty, who are stationed in Virginia, you also have reduced fees for hunting and fishing license.
Okay.
You get it at a resident rate instead of out of state.
Out of state. Oh.
Yeah. You get free admission to Virginia state parks, along with admission for anyone that's with you at the time. It covers boat launch and horse trailer parking and a 50% discount on camping, swimming, shelters, equipment rental. And veterans do not need to be a resident to qualify.
Oh,
So
really?
if you're just
So
a
they just
veteran and you're
visiting.
just coming into Virginia, yeah, you can get that stuff.
Very cool.
The DAV is very big in Virginia, and they do offer van rides to medical centers, and they help uh, get vets to and from.
Wherever they need to go.
Yeah. And always, remember that these things can change. So make sure to go on to the Virginia State Veterans Department of Veteran Services for Virginia and check. Make sure these things are still available, still going. Yeah, legislation changes.
Right. Absolutely. So the best place, so you get the VA Department of Veteran Affairs or the Virginia Department of Veteran Affairs. They can find this information on that website as well
Yes.
as va.org
Mm-hmm.
or military.com. Like, let's,
Military.com. Yeah, military.com keeps a list of all the states, and they have hyperlinks to each of the states. Um, and then within each of those, like if you clicked on Virginia, then it's also giving you links within that to the Virginia Department of Veteran Services and the different pages for each benefit, like Parks and Recreation for Virginia. It'll have a hyperlink for that. And you can go in and check.
so really best practice, right, for let's say active duty would be when the PCS are stationed in a certain state. One of the first things they should look at is what are those state level benefits that they receive, right?
Yes.
And that's during active duty. Then when you PCS to the next place, that same thing. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say the scenario where we have a active duty military member in Virginia, stationed in Virginia, purchases a home. It's their primary residence. So, well, I guess they wouldn't get exemption on their property taxes until they're 100% disabled or permanent in total. So,
Correct.
okay. Because what I was going to say is if they move out of that house, like they're exempt in that home and they move out into another home, and it's out of state,
They no longer, yeah. So if they were a vet, right, and they were 100% permanent in total and they move out of that residence, but they keep the residence as a rental, which a lot of people do.
right.
They are, yeah, no, they no longer get that property tax exemption because it's not their primary residence.
Yeah, they need to self-report that because it has to be their primary residence. That's
Correct.
wonderful though. And then right, whenever you retire and whatever state you end up settling in, then same thing. Go. And I think if we can get our active duty members acclimated to checking their state level benefits through every PCS, then once they do retire out and they set whatever state they settle in, it'll all automatically be a habit for them to go and check those state
Yes.
level benefits, right?
Yes.
Um, Excellent. I think we need to put a link to this in the app for sure to let them know to start checking those state level benefits. We will add that link onto the installation resources tab for sure. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
I know a lot of vets, and if you're just traveling, right, you like to go see stuff and do stuff as we go through each state, there are benefits where you don't even have to be a resident. You're a veteran, but you can get that. I know there's one state that has, if you're a vet and you can get free camping in the state.
Oh
So if
yeah,
you're going through, it's like I said, it's state by state, but there's lots of benefits, even if you're not a resident.
Right. So, and it's worth the time to check it out. If you're traveling and you're going to be going through certain states, that's part of just building your itinerary out of what you're going to do through that travel, so you can get some of those benefits. Well, Amy, is there any what other state? I'm sure there's a ton, right? I don't know that we could cover all of them during this time frame, but are there any other state level benefits that you would want to point out there in Virginia?
The only other one, and almost all states have this, unfortunately, it's the burial benefits. So it's kind of depressing, but it's going to happen to all of us.
That's right.
So Virginia has 3 veteran cemeteries. So you have to be honorably discharged to be buried at no cost. And there's a small cost for eligible family members. So that would be a spouse or a disabled dependent who cannot live on their own. They're also eligible to be buried with the military member. You need to go to the Department of Veteran Services for Virginia. You can do a pre-qualification, which is you submit your DD 214 and you tell them, hey, I'm a vet and I want to be buried here eventually, when the time comes, and put that with your trust, will, whatever it is that you have.
Right, or paperwork. So that
your estate planning.
Right, estate planning. So there are veteran cemeteries, but do you have to be a resident within that state in order for, and what if a veteran doesn't plan that ahead of time, right? How does a spouse handle that process?
So you'll need the spouse would go to the cemeteries, the Virginia veteran cemetery. They have a website, and in one of the drop down menus, they can say, for the dependent of the military member. And generally, they have a checklist and they say, but you're going to need your DD 214, that they were honorably separated. And you can file that. You may have to pay a small fee. It will be reimbursed once they get all the paperwork done. Usually we're all aware of the federal benefit to be buried. There are federal cemeteries as well, and you can go on your va.gov to do an eligibility for that. But to be buried in a state cemetery, you have to do your eligibility through the state.
Oh, so there's 2 separate levels. There's federal level cemeteries and state level. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of us, and a lot of just the general public, of course, knows about Arlington. Right. But Arlington is strict on who is buried there and what the requirements are for that. And Arlington has their own website, and they clearly state what the requirements are to be buried there.
Well, kudos to them, because there's no reason not to clearly state it. They want to be strict, that's fine.
Yeah.
But let's be very clear on what the requirements are. So make it easier.
Yes.
And during that time of life is rough enough and hard on families. So there's federal and state level cemeteries. Okay.
But actually having the predetermination done, having the predetermination done for that and included in your estate planning is
the way to make it the easiest on your family.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Make it the easiest on your family that you possibly can.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and just making it as easy as we can to get information for our active duty military members, our veterans, is why we're doing what we're doing here. I know that you have such a huge heart to educate and assist active duty in the veteran community on their benefits. So I look forward to wrapping around and doing the next episode where we can talk about some of the other state level benefits in a few other states. So someone can easily, we'll organize this all and someone can easily search for their state, and we can link these in, because there's quite a bit. The $40,000 exemption on your income tax, that's huge. And I wonder how many veterans are not taking advantage of that.
Who knows?
Yeah, the IRS. But they're not
The
going to call
IRS
them.
is, yes, yeah, the IRS is not going to mind if you don't take that $40,000 exemption on your pay. They're just,
Absolutely.
they're not. They're going to be like, go ahead, keep paying it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, it has been amazing as always to speak with you, Amy. You're a wealth of knowledge. Appreciate it very much. And I hope that those of you that are watching, that you share this information at the va.gov. Each state has the Department of Veteran Affairs. You've got the military.com that can you can easily search, and they have all the information organized by state. Get out there and take advantage of all of those benefits that are available to you both federally and at the state level. So we appreciate you guys listening, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Amy, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. You too.
All
Till
right.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.